This seems a good time to practice your algebra and graphing skills, as well as to do a consumer and producer surplus problem. So let's go. I created this here. I had a typo in my slide that I fixed by drawing over it. Pardon the mess. Anyway, assume that the market demand for wheat is given by the equation P equals 7 minus 0.5 times the quantity demanded, where P is in dollars per bushel. Oh, that's supposed to be, oh no, it's wheat. It's okay. Dollars per bushel, and quantity demanded is a billion bushels of wheat demanded per year. Market supply is P equals 1 plus 0.1 times the quantity supplied. And I ask you to graph the market supply and market demand, and to indicate clearly the equilibrium quantity and price, how much consumer surplus exists at the equilibrium outcome, how much producer surplus exists at the equilibrium outcome. So here we go. Let's go. First, the algebra. We have a demand and supply curve. We know that the equilibrium condition is the quantity demanded and the quantity supplied are equal. So that lets us set that price is also the same. So 7 minus 0.5, we'll just call it Q because it stands for both QD and QS. It's the equilibrium price now, equals 1 plus 0.1 Q. That's our that's what we can do because one price is the same as the other. All right, well, let's just solve. We subtract 1 from both sides and add 0.5 Q to both sides. We get 0.6 Q. You know what? Let me, just because I noticed that some of you are shaky on your algebra, let's draw out those steps. I'm going to add 0.5 Q to both sides, so the equality is preserved, right? And then I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides, so the equality is preserved. And then the equal sign is still preserved because I did both the same operation to both sides. So I get 6, these are gone, negative 0.5 Q plus positive 0.5 Q, that's 0. And then likewise 1 minus 1 is 0, those are gone. And I get 6 equals 0.6 Q. And I can then divide through by 0.6. And then I'm going to actually switch Q to the left because that's what we're used to doing. The quantity is equal to 10. And now, of course, that begs the question, what's price? I can plug 10 into either equation. It's pretty simple. Let's plug it into supply. It's easy one way or the other. P plus 0.1 times 10. 0.1 times 10 is 1. Price is equal to 1 plus 1. That's 2. So that's our equilibrium. And then to graph, I'm going to have a line that has, the demand is going to be a line with a y-intercept of 7 and a slope of negative 1/2. And the supply is going to be a line with a y-intercept of 1 and a slope of positive 0.1. Now I have a graphing application to make this look real pretty. You would want to do that by hand. If you do it on graph paper, you actually don't even need to do that algebra, but I would do the algebra too, just to make sure. Anyway, here's what that looks like, and I've shaded in my consumer surplus and producer surplus already. The easiest way to get consumer and producer surplus is to draw the graph, and then you know you can identify the consumer surplus triangle. Remember, it's the area below the demand curve above the market price, and the producer surplus is the area below the market price above the supply curve, industry marginal cost curve. And now we have it. I take my consumer surplus. Notice this triangle has a height of 5 and a width of 10 billion. Don't forget the billion. That's a pretty big difference. $25 per year is really different than $25 billion per year. So notice the units. Anyway, 1/2 times 5 times 10 is 25, and because it's billions here, it's $25 billion per year. Now, as far as producer surplus, one quick way to do that would be to notice that the producer surplus triangle has the same base as does the consumer surplus triangle, but it has a height of 1/5 of the height of the consumer surplus triangle. So from that we know it's 1/5 as much as consumer surplus. But 1/2 times base times height, 1/2 times 1 times 10 gets us 5, and then we have to remember it's billions, $5 billion per year of producer surplus.